Today we're going to do another watercolor painting. You can do it on a small or a large piece of watercolor paper. If you do it on something small and can fold it in half, you can make a nice card out of it. I call this Love's Garden. And you can see I've done some flowers and a heart-shaped flower. So you can choose to do whatever kind of flowers you want. What you're going to need: pencil, eraser, a black crayon because we are going to outline everything with black, then your watercolor paints, a glass of water or a jar of water, and a paper towel or a cloth with which to soak up some of the water on the brushes. And I've used a bigger brush. If you have a larger one and a very narrow one, that would be great. Okay, so let's get started or hearted. Okay, so I've taped up my paper to my hard surface. I've put a little bit of a border around it. And I have my pencil, sharp, my eraser on my side, and I'm going to draw 3 flowers. Very lightly with the pencil, we are going to go over them with black crayon when we're finished. First, I'm going to make a circle, and I'm going to make just kind of round semicircle petals around it. I'm going to make the stem a little bit curvy. This one's going to have one leaf like this and one leaf like this. I'm going to make a taller flower in the middle, and this is the one that's going to be my heart flower. You can decide what size heart you want. I'm just going to go over this a little bit darker so that you can see it better. Here's my heart flower. And I think I'm going to give it little heart leaves, maybe upside down hearts. How's that? Okay, and our last flower is going to be almost the same height as that one, maybe a little shorter. And again, I'm going to make a circle, maybe a little smaller than the first one. This time I'm going to put triangular petals. Stem comes down, and let's give it maybe wider leaves. Okay, and that's it. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is take my black crayon. I'm going to go over all of these lines. Okay, now let's replace our crayons and our pencil and eraser with a jar of water, a little paper towel or a cloth towel, and your watercolor paints. So my friends, I want to have colors blending for my background, and I'm going to use kind of cool colors for the background and warm colors for the flowers themselves. I might make this one yellowy, this one orangey, and this one red. Those are our warm colors. And I'm going to put some greens and blues and purples in the background. And I'm going to do that first. I'm going to take my fat brush, dip it in my water jar, scoop some of the water off. And let's do this top corner first. I'm just going to paint with water. It's not going to go into my heart because I'm not putting water inside of that. And watercolor paper is great for that. It's very obedient. It will just go where you put the water. All right, now I'm going to start with some purple. I have my palette here, which I've used before, and I'm just adding water to it, and the paints come back to life. And I'm going to get more water on my brush and just kind of dab. You see, I'm not stroking. I'm not going back and forth with brush strokes. I'm dabbing the color. I'm going to water my brush and maybe put a little bit of pink in there to make it a bit of a lighter purple. I'm going to wet my brush, clean most of the purple paint off, and wet the other side, going in between the little leaves. I'm going to put some blue over here. And I want all my colors to blend. So I'm going to have blue meet purple in the center here. even a little bit in here, just so they get to know each other, have a little party. Add a little bit more of that pink in there so that the purple looks like it's come and joined the blue. Okay, now I'm going to come in between my petals and my leaves carefully. Maybe I'll add some purple down in here. Now my green is kind of bright. I want that darker. What should I do? Let's add some blue. Now this is a different blue than I used here. Oopsie. This is dark blue, and it's getting closer to the color I want. I'm going to put a splotch of the bright blue down here. Remember, watercolor dries lighter than the color you put on. So anytime you feel you want to go over what you've done to change the color a bit, just go right ahead. Sometimes you blend the colors and they get some interesting looks about them. New hues, new shades, and sometimes they don't. They might look like mud. I'm putting some streaks of my darker blue in here as well, just because I want it. No real distinguishable colors actually. I kind of like the way they're blending and making their own darker hue. I especially like this here. I like this corner. I might add a little bit more of that same green down here. Now I can see it's dried up here. I'm going to add a little more purple and blue. Okay, if you're happy with that color combination, let it dry. We'll let those paints kind of sink in. If you see any puddles forming though, don't let them dry as a puddle. Just take your brush in there, spread it around a bit, or clean your brush, dry it on your cloth, and suck up that puddle. I can see it's pooling a little bit here, so I'm spreading it out. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. Okay, I hope you did something productive while you were waiting for your paint to dry. I had a dance break. All right, we are going to start with the lighter colored flowers and then move to the darker ones. So let's start with our yellow. I'm going to wet my brush because my paint is quite dry. Yours probably is too. So let's wet, 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 wet. Get some yellow on that. And then I always dip it back in the water again because I want my paint to be a little bit watered down. And yes, I am painting right onto the flower. I'm not watering it first. And you can paint over the black crayon if you want. It's not going to be too big a deal. I'm even going over the black a little bit. So I've got an orange here, and I think I'll put it on the petals over here. I'm going to wash my brush, get it a bit watery, get a little light colored puddle of orange here, and I'm just going to go a little bit on my flower over here while it's still wet, just to give it some tone, a different hue, so it's not just pure yellow. And with this one, I'm watering the center. I'm going to put some yellow and some brown, and I'm going to dab the brown, and this gives the yellow a kind of hue as well. Gives some depth. There's some shadows, and I'm going to put some of that brown just in the center of these little petals too. Now I'm going to take my bright pink, or you can take red, whichever you'd like, and I'm going over my heart. This is the heart of our love garden. I am not going to make a pink heart though. I am going to make it a reddish orange. It's always fun to mix colors, see what you get. And then I dab while it's still wet, because those dabs will spread out and make it look really cool. I can see that my orangey flower here has got some water blobs, so I'm going to take some of that off, wipe it onto my towel, go back into my brown, and just dab them on without a lot of water. Then I'm going to do the same with the yellow. You can see that I'm using old tape and it's not working very well. It's not holding the paper flat. And you kind of really want to do that. I just try to reuse and reuse and reuse as much as possible. Okay, I'm going to go back into my orange and just make my orange petals a little darker. What should we do in the middle of this one? How about purple? All right, now I'm going to go into my bright green and I'm going to go over the leaves. Now I might add different colors to this. Remember, we can blend all sorts of colors. Your love garden can be whatever colors you want. I'm also going to go over my stalks a little bit, just to give them a little bit of green on black. Oh, that looks really good. Pretty. I'm going to outline my heart flower with some of this pink and try to make it really dark. So I'm going to try not to water it down so much, get some full paint on my brush. I want this side a little bit darker red, and I'm even going to take a wet brush, dry it, and pull a little bit of color off right in the middle of this side so it looks like there's some light shining on it. Okay, I'm going to go pure orange and go around this flower's petals too, just like I did with the rose, or with the heart, sorry. Okay, you can see my yellow has dried over here. My purple probably too. I'm going to clean my brush, go back to my yellow. I want a dark yellow, so I'm getting lots of paint on the brush, and I'm just going to go over these petals. I like how it's not sticking to some parts of the black crayon. I really like that look. Okay, cleaning my brush, going back into a little bit of brown. I still want some more spots here in this flower. And back to a little more purple. And there you have it. I think we are finished. See how my tape has created a border here. So if you did a plain piece of paper and yours looks like this, you can tape this on top of another card. Perhaps a Mother's Day card or a blank piece of paper, and this will be your Mother's Day card or a card for another special person in your life. But if you have the watercolor paper and you folded it like I did, it's a card already. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. For more tutorials, check my YouTube channel, Yayla Productions. See you next time.